So good morning, everybody. Good morning to all. And thank you, Mr. Prem, for your kind introduction and your kind words. Thank you so much for organizing this event, specifically on synthetic rubbers. We have a lot of events covering, various topics, and mostly it is the industry, rubber industry, which we cover. But it's a very, very specialized conference on synthetic rubber, and I'm thankful to you for organizing this. It's really my pleasure to be part of this event. And as you know, synthetic rubber is important raw material for the rubber industry. So I will try to take you through, we will start with the overview of the rubber industry and on the synthetic rubber, how this synthetic rubber came into picture. We will start with that, and what all is happening across the globe. So we'll look at the demand and supply scenario, how it is changing, how it has changed over the years, and how do we see it in the future. Along with the change in the demand and supply, there is a change in the trade pattern as well. And with that, the capacities have also shifted from one region to the other region. So we will have a look at, how that has happened. And then, of course, all of us know that for synthetic rubber, most of our synthetic rubbers, the feedstock is butadiene, which is very important. And if we ignore this, butadiene, then I think synthetic rubber is not covered. So I will try to cover butadiene, what is the current scenario of butadiene globally. And then, of course, what are the challenges? And we also know that, the industry is shifting towards sustainable raw material and sustainable options. So what are those options, and what efforts are being done in those directions? So this is how we will run through the presentation. But before we do that, I would like to have a brief introduction about our company. We are SBR producer located at Panipat. This company is a joint venture between Indian Oil Corporation and Taiwan Synthetic Rubber, both holding 50% stake, so equal stake by both the companies. As I mentioned, that our plant is located at Panipat. The reason for location is, of course, you have to be very close to your feedstock availability. We are located next to the Panipat refinery of IOCL, from where we get butadiene and our other utilities. Before we started or commissioned our plant, which we did in 2014, we actually started production. Before us, the country was dependent on imports. So this was the first facility which came into picture for SBR, and later on we had another domestic producer. We produce 4 grades of SBR, 2 grades in 1500 series, 1502, which is a very, very common grade used by almost every synthetic rubber consumer, whoever is consuming SBR. And we have another grade, 1500. Apart from that, we have 2 oil grades, 1712 and 1723. 1723 is based on TDA oil, which is more eco-friendly. We are supplying our products to, mostly we are supplying in domestic market, and we are supplying to almost all tire manufacturers or synthetic rubber or SBR consumers. So our major customers include MRF, Apollo Tires, Bridgestone, JK, Yokohama, Continental, PKT, Seat, Goodyear, and others. Before we get into the subject, I would like to, touch upon how this synthetic rubber came into picture. We know that necessity is the mother of invention. So this is what happened during World War I and World War II, when there was a scarcity of natural rubber. The supply of natural rubber got restricted from Asia into Europe and US. There were no options, and people started working to see if they can produce some material similar to natural rubber, which can be used for making tires and other rubber products. So the first product which was developed was a polymer of which was polyisoprene, and later on other synthetic rubbers like SBR, PBR, butyl rubber, they were developed. So I mean, most of the inventions actually happen when there is a problem, and this is like we have some other examples, very good examples like penicillin, that was also developed during World War, and we have microwave we use for cooking our food. That also got developed during that time. So over the years, a lot of development has happened, and now we have different types of rubbers which are being used for various applications. Some of these are SBR, PBR, EPDM, butyl rubber, NBR. Apart from that, chloroprene, then we have acrylic rubber, silicone, then isoprene, acrylic. So a lot of different types of rubbers which are used for various applications. For the sake of simplicity, and because if we look at the volume of the rubbers, these type, various types of rubbers, SBR, PBR, EPDM, butyl, and NBR are widely used, and major volume actually comes from these type of rubbers. So when we are talking about the numbers, when in subsequent slides, we will be basically talking about about these major rubbers. And also because these rubbers are basically petrochemical derivatives, like silicone rubber. It is not a direct petrochemical derivative. Of course, upstream if you go, again it is linked with the petrochemicals. But these rubbers are mostly direct derivatives of petrochemicals. So let's the basic question is, when we talk about these synthetic rubbers and the usage or demand, from where exactly the demand comes from? The major demand for synthetic rubber comes from the automotive industry. I think almost 80 to 85% of the consumption of synthetic rubber is from automotive industry. Tires, of course, is the major consumption. Apart from tires, there are various other components which are made from rubber. So if you look at usage, that is the biggest segment from where the demand comes from. Apart from that, construction, we have rubber seals for glass channels. Then we have like NBR latex for healthcare products and other elastomers which are used for various applications in healthcare. Then footwear is another major area which is coming up, where the consumption is going up in a big number. So a lot of footwears right now. Of course, some of them have shifted to some other polymers, but still, if you look at the usage of rubber, footwear is a major sector consuming good quantities of rubber. In this slide, we have tried to compare, where we are against the global consumption and availability. So if we look at global supply of natural rubber, it is almost 14.3 million tons, and consumption in 23 was almost 14.9, close to 15 million tons. So there was a gap in terms of demand and supply. That is the reason we have seen that the prices have gone up. Prices have gone up during 23, and also in 24 there was a surge in the prices of natural rubber. It was basically because the supply is not keeping pace with the consumption. Consumption is going up. Whereas in case of synthetic rubber, the capacity, available capacity is 21.6 million tons, and consumption is just 16 million tons. But again, if we see that synthetic rubber, because we are attending this conference of synthetic rubber, so if we look at natural rubber and synthetic rubber, the usage of synthetic rubber is more than natural rubber, so it's bigger than natural rubber. And if we look at the supply and demand in India during financial year 23-24, the supply was 857 KT. This is in KT. I'm talking about natural rubber, and the consumption was 1.4 million tons. Whereas in case of synthetic rubber, the production was 547 KT, and the consumption was 784 KT. So there is a big gap between the consumption and the availability. Whereas globally, if we talk about the capacity is very high, consumption is much lower. In India, the production is much lower compared to consumption. Of course, during last few years, there has been a lot of capacity addition, but still we are short on synthetic rubber. Now we look at we compare over past 10 years how the demand has changed and how the production or availability has changed. In case of synthetic rubber, the production has gone up by around 173%. In 2015-16, the production was just 200 KT, which has gone up to 547 KT in 23-24. This is, there are a lot of new capacities which have come up, including styrene butadiene rubber SBR capacity of ISRPL. Then we had Reliance, who added the SBR capacity. Apart from that, they also enhanced the PBR capacity. And recently there is addition of butyl rubber capacity. So all this have added up to this increase in the production, whereas the consumption has gone up from 553 KT in 2015-16 to 784 KT in 23-24, which is almost 42% increase. We have the increase in consumption of synthetic rubber is more or less in line with the increase in natural rubber consumption, where the production is 994 KT in 2015-16, and it has increased. The production is 562 KT in 2015-16, and it has gone up to 857 kt, whereas the consumption has increased from 994 kt to 1.4 million in 23-24. Again, there is a lot of work going on in this direction to increase the availability of natural rubber, and we know that there are new plantations coming up in northeast India, and there are efforts to see that we increase the availability of natural rubber and reduce the import dependence. But again, I would like to, in this slide, I would like to draw your attention to some other numbers. Like for example, in case of synthetic rubber, if we look at the production, in 23-24, we are very close to the number which is consumption around 10 years back. 2015-16, the consumption was 553 kt, whereas the production in 2000, after 10 years, the production is 247. So we are in a way 10 years behind the demand curve. So that's what is important, and I think we need to work on that and see how we can increase the availability of synthetic rubber as well as natural rubber. Same is the case with the natural rubber. Now let's have a look at the global capacities of synthetic rubber. When we are talking about synthetic rubber, it is, as I mentioned, we will be covering major synthetic rubbers, which is SBR, PBR, IR, then butyl rubber, and India, EPDM. So this is a graph which covers 25 years. I mean, starting from 2000 to 2024. So the capacities have gone up from 12.1 million tons to 22 million tons. So there is increase by 10 million tons over last 25 years in terms of capacities. And we know there is overcapacity at the moment, so that we will be covering in the subsequent slides. Whereas the forecast for next 3 years is that we will continue to add more capacity. So overcapacity is going to increase. Why is that? Is to be seen. It is because the synthetic rubber capacities are always planned. I mean, in India we are behind the curve, but globally we are ahead the curve. We have to plan in advance, and these are generally planned in line with the upstream. Upstream, when I say, we have to have a refinery, we have to have a cracker, and once we have crackers are basically planned not for synthetic rubber. Crackers are basically planned for ethylene and propylene, mostly for plastics, our olefins, and we get C4 stream from that, which is actually utilized for making butadiene and for downstream synthetic rubbers. So it's basically the demand of ethylene and propylene which actually drives the capacity of synthetic rubber. So that's what happens, and this is the reason we have overcapacity globally. Let's have a look at the bifurcation region wise. 2014 and 2024, we have how the capacities have shifted, how the capacities have changed across the region. China was 28%, which has gone up to 32%. So there is a huge capacity which has come up in China basically. Apart from that, Asia has also added capacity, but here in terms of percentage, the number has gone down from 27 to 26 percent. But there have been certain additions. Apart, also there have been certain closures. So in the subsequent slides, we will be seeing where all the additions have happened and where all the closures have happened. And obviously, there is a reason for that, which we will be discussing. So if we look at the, in terms of capacity addition, there is over the last 10 years, there is a growth of around 21%. And Asia and China accounts for more than half of the global production capacity, which has the combined share of Asia and China has increased from 55% to 58% in 2024. Then we have Europe and Middle East. Europe and Middle East, we have seen that there is a capacity rationalization. It has gone down from 17% to 15%. Russia and Latin America, there is no change in terms of percentage. North America, again, there is a drop in the production. So, closed, and basically the closure happened because in terms of feasibility, in terms of sustainability, in terms of their competitiveness. In the last slide, we have already seen that there are a lot of capacity additions which have happened in China. Now, this graph is very important and it shows how the capacities have changed in China. We have started this from 2000, wherein the total capacity was 770 KT, and it has gone up to 7.15 million over the last 25 years. But if we look at the number just 2 years before that, which is 1998, the number was very small. The number was very close to what we had, the capacities we had in India. It was just around 200 and something KT. So from 200 KT, they have added huge capacities over the last, mainly from 2008 onwards. If we see, there has been huge capacity addition, and that has happened because we know that the automotive industry, that is the major driver, as we have seen in the previous slide. There was a lot of new units. Automotive demand picked up in China for their domestic market, as well as they started focusing on export market. So they started building their own capacities because they were mostly dependent on imports, and they were the major importers of synthetic rubber, which they recognized, and they added almost every product, SBR, PBR, EPDM, butyl. So for all products, there has been a huge capacity addition during these years, and that is still continuing. If we look at how the capacities have changed with regard to type of product, type of rubber, we see that for ESPR, it has come down from 27% in 2014 to just 20%. So there has been a huge capacity rationalization. Whereas for other products, the capacities have gone up. In case of SSBR, for example, it has moved up from 10% to 12%. For PR also, it has come down slightly from 27% to 25%. For EPDM, it has moved up from 8% to 10%. For butyl rubber, it has moved up from 9% to 10%. For NPR, it has come down slightly from 5% to 4%. And there has been huge increase in the SBCs, styrene block copolymers, SPS or other polymers which are used for various applications. And most of these capacities, SBS and SBC's capacities, have basically come up in China. Now, let's look at how the capacities have changed over the last 10 years and what is the forecast available for next 3 to 4 years. In case of ESBR, as we have seen that the capacities have rationalized, they have been reduced. It is basically because the industry is shifting from ESBR to SSBR as the demand from the automotive industry is changing. The performance requirement from the tire industry is changing. Therefore, there is increased usage of SSBR, and some of the ESBR is getting replaced by that. In 2014, Korea used to be the major producer and exporter of ESBR. We have seen that there has been two major players, Kumo and LG. They have reduced their capacities. In fact, LG decided to exit from ESBR, and Kumo decided to reduce its capacities. They actually changed one of their lines from ESBR to India. So major change has happened in Korea. Whereas in case of China, they have added a lot of new capacities during past 10 years, and most of the capacity additions have happened in China. Apart from that, India has added 270 KT, and there has been reduction in the capacities in Europe. So Europe again has reduced. In and in Latin America also there is some reduction. Yeah, so this is how it has changed, and overall capacity decreased 20%, whereas China, Southeast Asia, and India capacities. Let's have a look at so SSPR. As I mentioned that the demand is going up. So in line with the demand, the new capacities are coming up, and the capacities have shifted. I mean, gone up from 1.7 million tons to 2.5 million tons, almost 2.6 million tons over the last 10 years. And the major capacities increase has happened in Europe, Asia, and China. Asia, if we look at Asia alone, the new capacity addition is has gone up by 73% during the last 1 decade. Here, most of the capacities have come up in Asia. We have seen Thailand has added. We have seen Indonesia has added one PBR. No, sorry, this SSPR plant, and then we have some other. Yeah. So one plant has come up in Singapore. So this is how, the Asia, basically the Asia has added more capacities in case of SSBR apart from Europe. PBR, there has been some over the years, the capacities rationalized. It reduced from 4.7 million tons till 2020-21. But after 21, new capacities have started coming up, mostly NDBR based, and that is how in today's scenario, if we see for PBR, there is oversupply, lot of oversupply. And we are going to have some new capacities coming up in next few years, but not much. Again, China is where most of the new capacities have come up during the last 1 decade. If we look at butyl rubber, Asia outpaced new butyl rubber capacity during last 1 decade. One major capacity has come up in India, and it has gone up from 1.5 million tons to almost 2 million tons over last 1 decade. EPDM, if we compare with 2014, yes, there is increase in the capacity, but there has been some rationalization also happening. Initially, most of the new capacities came up in US, Europe, and one major capacity came up in Middle East. Now, after that, there was some, some plants which were not viable, so they decided to shut down. But again, we are going to see that new capacities are being planned, but not much. And in case of EPDM, again, there is a lot of oversupply at the moment. So during my interaction, there was somebody was asking me, are there any plans for India to add a new EPDM capacity? But I think it's difficult at the moment, given the oversupply in the global market. Because once you plan for such an investment, it's a huge investment, and you need the downstream industry for that to basically absorb that production. So right now, India, if we see the demand, does not justify the new capacity, and that's the reason it's very difficult at the moment for India to have a EPDM. As I mentioned, butadiene is important feedstock for synthetic rubbers. So why is that? Let's have a look at how the demand for butadiene has changed in terms of downstream derivatives, which basically consume this feedstock. So in 24 last year, if we see, PBR and SBR, they are the major consumer of butadiene, and this is going to increase a little bit. The overall consumption is going to increase, and the increase is basically going to come not from ESBR, it is going to come from SSBR. So SBR, in this graph, where we are comparing 24 and 30, the demand forecast, the SBR requirement will change from 26% to 27% change in the share. And apart from this, SBCs, they currently account for around 10% of the total demand of butadiene, which is going to go up to 11%. So their share will increase from 10% to 11%. ABS will come down a little bit from 14% to 13%, and other products like SB latex and NB latex is going to remain same. So SBC is currently some new in China actually, though there is a lot of oversupply of SBS, but still, if we look at their forecast, there are a lot of new capacities which are being planned and are already under commissioning. So despite oversupply, there will be new addition of capacities. If we look at the availability of butadiene, when I say availability, the actual availability is different. This is in terms of the production capacities. So if we look at the production capacity for butadiene versus the demand, so this graph basically shows how the demand is moving with respect to the production capacities which are available or will be available over the next few years. So already, at the moment, the operating rate of BD is 60. It was 68% in 2020. It has come down to almost 63% last year in 24, and further it is going to go down and is expected to go down further because new capacities, there are a lot of new plants which are coming up, a lot of new PD units which are coming up. And if we see from 2020 to 2030, the capacity addition for butadiene is almost 6 million tons, whereas the in terms of demand, the addition will be just 2.5 million tons. So we are talking about a gap of around 4 million tons going forward, and that is the reason the operating rate is going to go down further. But still, we see last year BD prices moved up. So everybody was wondering why this is happening. During the beginning of the year, everybody was talking there is going to be a huge oversupply of the product and the prices will crash. Whereas during the entire year, we saw that BD prices were not coming down, they were going up. So, I mean, capacities are okay. That shows the, availability or the capability of producers to make the product available. But in terms of actual availability, it depends upon a lot of other factors, and specifically on how the crackers are operating and how the demand for the basic products from cracker, which is ethylene and propylene, are it basically depends upon that demand. So if the demand for ethylene and propylene is not there, if the margins are not there, then the crackers will not operate. And I mean, capacities is something which is okay, but availability will be dependent on that. We are seeing a lot of changes in the demand from the downstream consumers, specifically from the tire makers. We are shifting from internal combustion engine to electric mobility or EVs. So that is that shift is taking place, and for that, the basic requirements are also changing in terms of rolling resistance, in terms of the fuel efficiency, in terms of noise, in terms of other parameters. There is a shift which is happening, and for that as we have seen, ESPR demand is going down, SSBR demand is picking up. Again, in case of PBR, the demand for nickel-based catalyst is going down, cobalt-based catalyst is going down, demand for NDBR is going up. So all that is happening. So people are looking at products which are more heat resistant. Feedstock, basically the tire, which can be basically the rubber, which can be used for making tires, which produce lower noise, vibration, and lower rolling resistance. Apart from that, also there is a shift which is happening, that is towards the sustainable raw material. So when we talk about sustainability, it is recyclability, reusability, and of course the feedstock which is based on renewable sources, that is bio-based material. And since BD is the major feedstock, so a lot of